Hello. Join me for editing a podcast. This isn't going to be a very polished tutorial, but I sometimes appreciate when people put out a step-by-step, real-time recording of their process. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today with an episode of my podcast called The Show About the Show, the podcast. We're going to go through a 3-camera, 3-guest remote podcasting production, and I'm going to go through every step. If I miss anything, let me know. Here we are in the Google Drive folder. We recorded this episode on September 28th, and we actually recorded 2 episodes that day, and so that's why we've got an A and a B folder here. I'm going to download these files. This is episode 436 of the show, and so that's what these numbers are about here. And this is Ben's footage, and I'll get this clip as well. To rename each clip so I know what we're dealing with. These clips were recorded with the settings that I talked about in the main video that I assume you're coming from if you're watching this. And this third clip is the one from my end. I recorded that locally, so it's going to be in my OBS recordings folder. Now we just wait for the download. All right, now we've got the 3 clips downloaded. I guess I didn't need to go through how to download a file from Google Drive, but I don't know, whatever. This is my step-by-step. I'm going to drag these into Audition, and yes, these are video files, but we will only be extracting the audio from these and saving out the audio as a WAV file for each guest. So this is Atticus's audio, and as you can see, there's nothing in the right channel, only in the left channel. So what we're going to do, convert this to mono. And boom, there you go. And I'm actually going to normalize this to just get bigger waveform. Ooh, I'm seeing that we've got some noise here. How bad is it?
Yeah, he's been busy. Like off,
It's kind of bad. Let's see. Let's do some noise reduction.
Yeah, he's been busy. Like off, doing.
Actually sounds pretty good. So let's just get rid of the noise for now. And usually, actually, while I'm editing, like this, sometimes these processes will take like a minute or so to do it. So I'll just jump over to another host and work on this one in the meantime. And so I know, for example, Ben's mic is really hot, but picks up a lot of signal. So I'm just going to compress this down to like here. I'm going to run this preset that I have, which is just going to take out the very low frequencies, the very highest frequencies. It's going to apply a noise gate at -55 decibels, and it's going to hit a compressor at about -18. And that's actually going to be just about right for this signal. Let's switch back to Atticus. All right, and so now we can work on compressing this, and signal's kind of all over the place, but I'm going to be pretty ruthless with the compressor here. I'm going to compress this down to negative 15, which is going to compress a lot of extra transient signals, but it's going to be okay because it's broadcast, baby. So now when we normalize back this back to negative 3, hopefully we've got this like core. I could have compressed this even more, and in fact, I'm going to. What I'm looking at here is I'm looking at these numbers off to the side here, and I'm kind of like surveying the entire like hour plus clip and trying to find like the main core of the signal. And I'm seeing it's basically between -6 and negative infinity here. And so anything above -6, I'm actually going to compress that even further. It's okay for your guests to be loud. And so now I'm going to bring this back up to -3. I just choose -3 as kind of like my arbitrary target here that I just get all the files to. Everything gets normalized again later. All right, what about this gobbledygook here? This is probably like typing on a keyboard. Yeah. So, I mean, really what I should do is just tell Atticus to not type on his computer or not have his microphone mounted to his desk. But I keep forgetting to do that. And luckily it doesn't happen like a ton. And you want to do silence rather than deleting because that'll shorten the file otherwise.
It was like a that felt like it could have been season 1.
Okay. I think that's going to actually be pretty good. So I'm just going to save this as a wave file because it saves so fast and I have the space for it in the right folder. Boom. Let's hop over to Ben.
Is 100% kid mindset, but it does seem cool in the moment.
And I already did his processing a bit here. So I'll bring him up to -3.
Ed classmate who I look exactly the same as. Instead of after, how many days did it take before she came?
All right. Usually Ben doesn't need too much work. I'm going to save him there. And then mine. So I'm going to convert this to mono. I don't know why OBS records 6 channels every time. I've tried to figure it out and I just can't. I'm going to amplify this just to get a little bit more, normalize my space here a bit. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to hit it with the preset. And I'm going to crank this down to -21. And I bet I'll even need to compress myself even further. It's kind of funny looking at the waveforms. You can tell who's yapping the most. And once again, I'm amplifying this. Like this is a very lossy process. What I'm doing, it's very destructive. And so like I'm a little reluctant to share this, but it's worked like hundreds of times in a row. And I haven't found like it being particularly like I'm not hearing a bunch of artifacts or whatever. Like it's working pretty well. But what I mean, like every time I'm like amplifying, I'm like I'm affecting the waveform, and I'm not like preserving that extra data. But whatever. How does this sound? He's having fun, and also, but like elevating the project significantly. Looks like I have some good point there. All right, let's save this. All right. So all I've done here is, open the video files here in Audition and edited the audio, processed the audio before I do any editing whatsoever. Just the raw audio, the entire clip. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over to DaVinci Resolve, and I'm going to bring in those files here and do my editing here. So let's make a new bin for this episode, Twin Peaks Season 2, Episode 6. Footage will go here. Timeline will go here. So let's just drag everything in, drag our audio and our video in, and start with Mr. Number 1. I'll make sure that this is set in the right thing. Let's actually rename this to be 436 TPS2E6. Okay. And so I'm just dragging in the. Let me do this again and explain what I'm doing. All right. So I'm just dragging in the video from the recording, and I'm dragging in the audio from the edited file that we just did an Audition, and these will match up at the beginnings and the ends because it's just the unedited audio from the original video clip, right? And I'm going to link these up. I'm going to make sure to change this track type to mono. And let me bring Ben into the mix. Just grab his video and his audio. I will sync these all in just a second. They don't start at they don't all start at the same time. And so I'm not like, oh, let me grab this right at the beginning here, because that's not going to sync them up. So now let's grab Atticus. And I'll explain. Don't worry. All I'm trying to do now is just sync each video and each audio together. So now these are all linked together. So if we were to disable Ben and Atticus, and you just listen to me here. This is not a Mark Frost or David Lynch directed or written episode. Fascinating stuff, Will. Let's jump to when Ben says something. Oops.
You get a bunch of high schoolers who.
Ben's always talking about those high schoolers. All right, and jumped over to Atticus.
He's a Reddit individual before 90s.
All right, and Atticus. So yeah, these are each synced to themselves, but now let's sync them all together. And the thing is, we all clapped at the same time here. You can tell we actually started recording pretty close together, but we all synced our recordings by hitting record and then all going to time.gov and then saying, hey, let's clap 10 seconds after the minute. Cool. And now we can link all of these together. Let's trim off the head. Let's label our layers. And now we've got the full episode. But we're just stacked on top of each other, and we don't want to just look at one of us the entire time. I don't think Atticus would appreciate that. So let me show you what we got going on here. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to duplicate them. Whoops, I need to actually press Option, click up and drag, right click, replace with a Fusion clip. Open this in Fusion page. And I'm going to, so that's what these are. These are just like the individual video clips, right? And so I have built a Fusion macro to be brought in here. And all this does is takes each of these and lays them out. And this is pretty cool. It saves me a lot of time. One thing is that I've accidentally saved this macro with this setting very slightly off. That should be 0.8 rather than that nonsense. And these transform nodes here are meant to reposition us in the frames. And so I actually like to kind of go midway through and just kind of find the right frame for each of us. Something that works. Definitely need to move Atticus. Spot check throughout. I might need to move myself to the left a tiny bit. That was a cool face that I had there for a second. All right, so I kind of shift back and forth a little bit, but I think for the most part, that's going to be good. So what we have here is a wide shot with all three of us, individual on Atticus, individual on Ben, individual on me. So, and this is all synced to the audio on each of our tracks, right? And so what you could do is cut between each of us as we're talking, and you can do that automatically with the multicam clip. And in fact, or the multicam, the smart switch, AI multicam smart switch stuff that Resolve has. And I've tried that. It works pretty well. And we've gotten feedback about the show, is that the listeners just want to see all three of us all the time. Hey, that's going to save us a lot of work here, rather than, like, okay, when I'm talking, just show me. When Ben's talking, just show Ben. When Atticus is talking, just show Atticus. It's actually kind of nice to just see all of us all the time, because there's a lot of it's a comedy podcast. We're going to be reacting to what each other is saying. This is a live to tape format too, and so I trimmed off the intro. I could tell that this block of what I was saying here is the intro, but let's just hear me say it to prove it. Welcome to the show about the show. There you go. And we just do the show live. There are no breaks, no cuts, whatever. Just, hour 15 all the way through. We do need to introduce our fixins, right? So we've got our lower thirds that I made. These are little Fusion presets, but I timed those to when I'm talking about ourselves. 436. My name is Will, a small Mexican chihuahua. Okay, so that's from the episode, okay? The Twin Peaks episode. Give me a break. Joining me as always is Ben, who is ordering milk at the bar. Hi, Ben.
What's up?
Also, Ben always speaks his what's up at the beginning so quietly.
What's up?
And of course, Atticus is here. Atticus has... Oops, I need to bring him in a little bit. Atticus is here. Atticus has been dropping escrow into a black hole for 6 months. Hi, Atticus.
Hello.
And let's cut these off here. Let's hit our Patreon plug here. This is a show currently about Twin Peaks. Today we're talking about season... Very good. So to the end here. Bye. All right, so we've got our lower thirds and all that. And all we got to do is add our intro and outro music. I'm going to add a stereo track, move it up. And I'm going to add a video track here. Let's grab everything. And I'm just going to copy it from the previous episode here. Welcome to the show about the show, the podcast. This is episode 436. My name is Will. There we go. And we hit the end. See you then. Bye. There we go. And look at that. What we have here is an hour and 15 minutes of podcast. So let's just do a quick quality spot check throughout here. Let's jump in 25 minutes in. Kids.
well, Don Jr. and Eric and all those freaks.
Cool spot to jump in.
But Ed's well,
it's good to take
nice.
advantage
Yeah.
of someone else's house, That's the way you should be.
that you're there on your own merits. You're not. Yeah, that's true. God knows what we talk about in this show. Sometimes it's Twin Peaks. See, look how much I'm yapping. I guess I read the summary for this episode. All right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was a good show. And I'm not here to tell you about how to make a good show. I'm just telling you how I edit my show. So now all we got to do is export, baby. Let me walk this through a little bit slower because I'm jumping ahead. So I like editing or exporting in H.265 because it's compact, smaller file sizes. I've got slow internet, so uploading it will go faster. Different folder for every episode. You can see in these other folders, we'll put clips from each one too. I can make a video about editing podcast clips if you want. Set the audio and we'll normalize this to YouTube anyway. It's going to optimize. I might optimize that. Let's just see how that goes. And YouTube is going to normalize it again upon upload. So that's why it doesn't super matter that, back when we were working on Audition, picking this, -3 target. Just basically pick something that's loud enough that you can actually get at it and work at it. Then they just get all three of them to be the same loudness throughout. Because it's just going to get renormalized again later. And we can add this to the render queue. Can render it. And this will actually take quite a long time. This will take hours. Because it's a really enormous Fusion clip. That is the downside of this workflow. And an upside for when you do the multicam switching, it just cuts to the individual camera angle of just me when I'm talking, for example. That will mean that Resolve doesn't need to render the Fusion composition. That's the wide shot of all three of us at that time for that shot. And so that actually speeds up the rendering quite a bit. This looks like it's going really fast, but this is just processing the audio or something. And then it's going to slow way down once this gets through this first pass or something. I don't know. But once this is done exporting, design a thumbnail, write a description, upload it to YouTube, I can basically turn this edit around in 20 minutes start to finish. I don't know how long this video is, but it's pretty representative of how much work goes into the editing side of one of these episodes. It's not that much for a weekend hobby show. I mean, you still have to set aside time to record and all that. So. And obviously this would be way more labor intensive if this was more of a This American Lifestyle podcast. That would be, there's a lot more editing and interviews and whatever. This is a talk show, just a hangout show. And so the point is that we hit record, talk for a while and stop. We don't need to do extra editing there. It's kind of what works for us, what we like doing. So. And it makes my job on the editing side a lot easier. But it still looks and sounds really good. That's important. to me. Let me know if I missed anything. I am happy to talk more about the editing and processing side of this. I guess I also upload this to YouTube and I upload it to Spotify for creators. So that goes out on like the audio only version goes out to podcatchers through that distribution system. It's a pretty slick workflow, I gotta say. All right. Thanks for watching.